All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Celenza. Thanks for checking out my show. So, what I'm going to call this podcast is lust a blessing or a curse? And, you know, a lot of times I think words that we use, we always look at them in a negative way. And, lust is one of those. And I get it. I get it. I'm going to tell you a lot of times what I talk about when it comes to lust is people being under a spell. And I'm not kidding. This goes for men and women. A lot of times when they lust somebody, for maybe the way they look or whatever, I don't know if it's money, I don't care what it is, they're under a spell, in my opinion, a lot of times. And a lot of times just because you lust someone, sometimes you think you love them, but in reality you just lust them. It's not necessarily you love them for maybe all the right reasons or for the right reasons in general. But what I'm going to get into on this podcast is actually, I think lust sometimes getting a bad rap. Because I think sometimes when we do, we see somebody that we really like or want to be with, let's face it, we're attracted to them at the beginning. We do kind of lust them. And, a lot of times, though, it can grow from there. Because, I think a lot of times we think, oh, somebody lusts somebody. And then I always talk about, when it comes to beauty or lusting after a woman, I'll just say from a man's perspective, is how, beauty's a bad investment. Because I don't care who the hell you're with, they're going to get older. They're going to age. Their body's not going to look the same way from decade to decade. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of women nowadays, more than ever, look better than ever, I think, as they age. I also think a lot of women look worse than ever as far as obesity goes. And that goes for men, too. I mean, I'm just saying from the man's perspective, the woman. I think a lot of men, get obese. They let themselves go, especially at a certain age. I don't know why. And what's interesting is for men and women, there's more information out there on how to take care of yourself than ever. But I do think a lot of our eating habits, I also think during COVID and the pandemic, a lot of people ate a lot of junk food. I think they're drinking more than ever. These are just my opinion, right? Going to fast food, a lot of the restaurants that are kind of open are fast food drive-thrus. A lot of them aren't healthy because a lot of restaurants, I believe, that were like health driven, a lot of them were more independent than chains, where a lot of the chain restaurants are more fast food, which were open. But when we're coming back to lust again, I think what, a lot of times though, we do lust after somebody, and then as time goes on, we end up maybe possibly dating this person, and then you end up falling in love with this person. I think what hurts though, a lot of times, is if you are just caught up in the looks of someone, right? I get it, because like I just said, looks or beauty is a bad investment. That could go for men and women. But here's the deal. I think a lot of people, when it comes to lust, because of religion or other different components, they'll be like, oh, I really attracted to this person, or you lust them to a certain degree, whatever word you want to use, and you kind of back off it because you're either intimidated or you're like, oh, you know what, I just like him for the way he looks, and if he looks great, that means, or her, they're a cheater, or they get a lot of attention from other men and women. I don't want to have anything to do with that, and I don't want to be in a lustful relationship where, you also may not feel as beautiful or as handsome as the other person, and you kind of come up with all this bullshit in your head instead of just saying, you know what, wow, I'm really attracted to this person. There's a fine line there, let's face it, from lust to being attracted to somebody, from, all these different types of, we could put labels on it, but the bottom line is, you may just see somebody that you're really attracted to. If you want to call it lust, call it lust. If you want to call it attraction, whatever. But don't be intimidated. Don't let that sway you. And I've been doing a lot of different podcasts on really women. If you find a man out there that you're attracted to, it doesn't have to be lust. Go talk to them, especially in public. Do not be afraid. Do not wait for the man to always talk to you or be the person to always address you. Flip that. You listen, I'm telling you, there's a lot of men out there that are afraid, that are just as insecure. I don't care how handsome they are. They're alone. They're intimidated. They've been dumped themselves, divorced, ghosted, like everyone else. But if you see somebody out there that you're interested in, talk to them. Just be interesting when you talk to them. Don't jump them. Don't play the stupid game. I think of the pickup lines or any of that nonsense. And you're going to be shocked when you start learning how to talk to people. A lot of times, regardless how handsome or beautiful they are, they're just people. I'm telling you right now, and a lot of people that I know that are very attractive are some of the most alone people I knew, especially when I grew up in the modeling industry or when it came to acting and being around a lot of those, women. A lot of times they would tell me they're the most alone. I'm not kidding you. And I used to see that in high school too. I had no problem talking to all different types of women. I didn't care how beautiful they were or not. But I would even talk to these women that I wasn't even in relationships with, beautiful women, cheerleaders, whatever the hell you want to call them. Again, people in the entertainment industry, and they're like, people are intimidated by us. Either they hit on us like an asshole when they're drunk, or they act like a sloppy goof, or they don't give us the time of day. And this again goes for men and women. And I just want to do a quick podcast on this because I think if you are, lusting somebody or whatever you want to say, just take it for what it's worth. I'm just taking, and a lot of times, let's face it, at the beginning of a relationship, the honeymoon phase, it is kind of lustful. Let's face it. If you're not married, you're having sex with one another, you're really into one another, don't pretend that doesn't exist. It exists. Now, where you go from there, right, is what's going to work or not work. But don't try to pretend it doesn't exist. And don't think that actually lusting somebody or being very attracted to somebody or wanting to be with somebody at the beginning is always going to end wrong. It doesn't a lot of times. Each day is a different day, and each relationship evolves in one way or another. Because I think, again, when you see beautiful people or people you think that are lustful, they may be dumb or they may be shallow or they may all these, it's just ridiculous. So I just want to do a podcast on this. But I will officially wrap it up with this. Do not fall under the spell of lust. Because a lot of times men, I should say a lot, I think more than women, but, I shouldn't say that because I'm not a woman, but I can only speak from a man's perspective, is you lust this person, and then you let that person a lot of times take advantage of you. And that's the one thing I don't want to happen. And just because, again, somebody is beautiful or somebody's handsome, you kind of give them the upper hand, and before you know it, they're controlling your life and maybe taking advantage of you. It could be financially, emotionally, it could be, I don't know what it is, but you have to understand too, I get you lust this person or you're really attracted to them, but they have to have respect for you. I don't care what they look like, because after a certain amount of time, looks, like I told you, goes out the door. So you've got to kind of figure out what's going to evolve if you want this relationship to work out, or you have to understand and say, you know what, this is just kind of more of a sex type thing or a friends with benefits thing, even though I enjoy it, but I don't feel like I'm growing as a person. And a lot of men have a problem breaking off with beautiful women, especially if there's a lot of sex involved. But also the sex may be great, but the relationship is horrible. But a lot of men, it's very hard for them because a lot of times they don't have the opportunity in their minds, or they don't think they can be with beautiful women like this. So they hold on to it, even if they're getting verbally abused, taken advantage of, or being cheated on, all these things, it becomes very accepted. I don't think that's right. So again, you can take lust and make it work to your disadvantage, or where it doesn't work out, or you can kind of take lust or that physical attraction and make it work out to your advantage. It's up to you to figure that out, but do not let anybody ever take advantage of you in a relationship, I believe. I'll end it there. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit me up. I'm at richcelenza.com. My program is masteringselfconfidence.com, where I try to help men through bad breakups or divorce, or try to find the woman of their dreams. I have a book, Wingman, where I also try to help men, guide them and give them advice. But a lot of women I've been talking to, I think they've actually been gravitating towards what I say more than men a lot of times, because I kind of throw everybody under the bus. I don't care who you are, but I take an honest approach on what I think works and doesn't work. And believe me, what I say isn't always perfect by any means, and it's not going to necessarily work for a lot of people. But I do think a lot of times what I do say can definitely be very beneficial when it comes to being in relationships. So that's all I got for you today. Take care.